Oh, glad you could. It is Sunday, the 10th of November 2019. This is the astrology and the astro weather, generally what's going on in the heavens for the next week or so. But we will start with today. We get a Taurus moon coming in 23:17 GMT. That's 17 minutes past 11 p.m. tonight. The moon's going to enter Taurus. Then we see a general shift of things. It is a little bit similar to Aries, but it's quite a lot different at the same time. Under the Aries moon, it's kind of quite strict, quite critical. Under a Taurus moon, it's a lot more compassionate, basically, but it's still a good time for striving for what you need to achieve and maybe getting involved in helping other people striving to achieve what they need as well. Let's just take a look at the moon phase. Right this minute, she is 95.2% full. Sun is still sextile Pluto. The moon now is opposite Mars. Tension, excitement, that kind of thing in the air. Could possibly be quite stressful at times, but quick responses, competitive reactions tend to be the reasons for that. In other words, nothing you can't do anything about, really. I mean, if you're in a situation where people are responding very quickly, you just take your time and it's okay. Again, with competitive people, that does come up quite a lot in life generally. And the best way to deal with it is just be yourself, be happy with what you're doing. And if other people don't think it's good enough, well, screw them, quite honestly. Because what really matters is where you're going in your own life, and other people never fully understand what that's about and where that's going. So there we go. Constructive projects, basically, doing something positive, doing something that gets someone somewhere is always going to be the answer to that. Mercury conjunct the Sun. Well, possibly we'll see some big announcements coming up. Really difficult to call that one for people all over the world, but certainly in UK I wouldn't be surprised. But it's just the usual political wranglings and arguments going on. At the moment, Venus is square Neptune. Strange feelings, strange emotions, resignations, defeats, that kind of thing. That has been the case for a little while. But the moon, as I say, is on her way into Mars. Mercury Retrograde, we're pretty well halfway through it now. So let's take a look at what's going to be going on next week then. Just turn the page over. And the big news really, well, there's two things really. On Monday the 11th, that's Veterans Day in the States and Canada, we get this very rare transit of Mercury across the face of the Sun. And of course, Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio. So we've got two quite hefty influences there, as well as just the fact that Mercury is transiting across the Sun. This does tend to mean wild, insane, crazy weather. And, if you're up in the north of England, you've really been experiencing that a lot. And I'm, so sorry to hear what's happening for you guys. It actually came on the news last night that some people in part of Doncaster, which is very seriously affected, had got in touch with the council asking for sandbags, please, to help protect their properties. And they were told their properties didn't exist, so they didn't need sandbags. Typical people relying on computers there and really not bothering and not caring. That's a great pity. But I'm sure the emergency services are kicking in there now because, it came on the news and there's a big stink about it. But wherever you are in the world, there is a strong possibility of wacky weather. Also, if you've just been through a load of bad weather, maybe things are going to improve. You just absolutely never know. I think as time goes on, the poles shift a little bit every year, and who knows what effect that actually has on astrology and the timings of things. So maybe we've seen the worst of it. It's a beautiful sunny day in West Wales here, and it was less so yesterday. It was really quite stormy. So things are, generally speaking, improving, but do look out for that. I'm sort of definitely not making any big plans for tomorrow because I really do want to be able to just stay close to home if it's going to be stormy and crazy and mad. But there we go, that is tomorrow. Moon's still going to be in Taurus for that. So it is a good time for taking a complete rest if you can. Not everybody can just take the day off and do nothing. But, generally keeping the activities to a minimum tomorrow is looking pretty good. Except to say with that Mars moon, if people are a bit kind of conflicted, then it's a good time to put your efforts into doing something positive. So next event really is actually the very next day, on Tuesday the 12th. We get the full moon. She becomes full and she's full in Taurus. she actually goes void in Taurus not too long after that, and we get a Gemini moon on Wednesday. But that's 13:34 GMT. So let me see, that must be 5:34 a.m. Pacific, 8:34 a.m. Eastern, and let me see. 13 and 9, sometime around 11:30, I would think, in parts of New Zealand. It's always different, but that would be Auckland. That would be 9 hours ahead of GMT as I'm looking at that. Full moon, well, you know, everything in nature is full and brims over. It's a good time to get your manifesting head on if you want to make great things happen. Even, you know, if you haven't got any big plans, in a spiritual sense, it's a good time to kind of give thanks, really, and just acknowledge the power of the moon. Now, if you're not into spiritual things, you might be thinking, yeah, you know, it's the moon, it doesn't really make any difference. Well, believe me, the emergency services know it does, and, you know, all kinds of people involved in hospitals, healthcare, anything to do with people, really, and the scrapes that people can get into tend to be prepared for a full moon. Whether they admit that to each other or not, I don't know, but the full moon always brings quite a powerful influence. It really does. Okay, so then moving on, we got a Gemini moon, and that's 8:45 a.m. on what's that, Wednesday the 13th of November 2019. So that's going to be midnight 45, pretty much just after Tuesday on the Pacific coast of the States and Canada. 3:45 a.m. Eastern, and again 9 hours ahead of 8:45, which is, gosh, must be 7:45 in the evening in New Zealand. I'm picking up on this times thing. I'm getting slightly better at it, and it's great actually to have a handle on what's going on in other parts of the world, because although we all live in our own little small corners of it, we are all actually part of a much bigger picture. So anyway, that Gemini moon, which is midnight 45, 3:45 a.m. or 8:45 a.m. in UK, we get the Gemini moon. Sociability, cheerfulness, people are more quick-witted. You can kind of think of things you've got to say in time to get them said for the best effect, usually. That's really positive. Lots of people are interested in just about every kind of information. It's a good time for learning. Studying things is good. It's also good for getting together with acquaintances. There are conferences tend to be just happen to be scheduled around the Gemini moon, because that's the way the influences go. It tends to be about like-mindedness a lot, but then again, it is Gemini, it is the twins, so it can go either way. Sounds pretty sociable, pretty positive to me, and we keep the Gemini moon then until we get a Cancer moon, which I'm really trying to carefully to bring up now, and that is going to be 16:14, just about 4:15 UK time GMT, so 8:14 a.m. Pacific, and 11:14 a.m. Eastern. There we go. Cancer moon, well, it's kind of a bit less friendly than Gemini, but there is a lot of compassion about, you know, that's a very positive side of the Cancer moon and the Cancer feelings. But emotions increase, and you see a bit more of people's vulnerability. People can be a bit touchy about things. Some like to be a bit secluded at that time as well. I think I'm one of them. I'm not a Cancer, actually, but I do tend to feel that need for seclusion under a Cancer moon. Still, you know, try to keep communicating, even if it's just with the people who are closest to you, because it really does matter. And then 1 week today, we get a Leo moon, and that's 21:56 next Sunday, the 17th of November. But more about that as we get to it. It's the usual Leo thing. It's a good time for being out there. It's a good time for getting things seen. But the only two things that are mentioned in my, what is it? Let me see again. I can never remember what it's called. Llewellyn's Daily Planetary Guide, which I highly recommend, by the way. The only two things it's mentioning for next week are that Veterans Day transit of Mercury across the face of the sun on Monday the 11th, and of course the full moon. Now, that transit across the sun, if you haven't seen my other videos about it, it's a very rare thing. Happens about 13 times every century, and the next one isn't due till 2032, and then there is another one in 2039. So it really is a once in a lifetime thing. And although it sounds a bit of a negative thing, it's kind of having a clear out. You know, the planetary energies have a big clear out. You know, you can't make an omelette without cracking eggs, as they say. But, you know, it's going to be quite an omelette, I think, by the end of that one. Okay, so enjoy your week, my friends. Thanks very much for watching. Thumbs up, please, if you've enjoyed it. Leave me a comment. We will share the journey, and I was going to say like, but I've already said that. There's three. Yes, subscribe, tap the bell so you don't miss anything. And do check out my YouTube channel. It is packed full of readings. There's astrology every day, and I keep on putting readings up there for the various star signs. Let's say late November readings are going to be coming up very soon as well. So keep it real, keep it to Big Brother, and I'll see you again very soon. Peace.